Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is TIRONI with Thin Air, and we're here to talk about human connectivity, the missing ingredient in digital transformation. If you think about your organization and the employees that you have and the assets that you own, in many times, these are scattered across your organization and not connected in a true, systematic, dynamic, real-time way. And what that can do is lead to gaps in information and insights. And so with all these pieces scattered across, imagine if you could connect them where you have insights from your assets and you have intelligence from the people that matter most to you, your employees, your clients, even your vendors. This is what we're here to talk about today, is how the power of enhanced connectivity, particularly through human insight, can lead to much better outcomes. And imagine if your machines could talk to your machines, of course, your employees and employees, but then also the other way, where machines are communicating with your employees and vice versa, with your employees are communicating back with your machines to really develop true digital transformation insights. That's what we're going to be spending the next few minutes on here. And that's what we do every day at Thin Air, is we bring together IoT machine data and combine that with the power of human insight like never before. And so we offer that integrated digital transformation solution with your assets through IoT sensors. It's a very easy to deploy service. We actually installed a space agency in a matter of 2 afternoons. And these sensors are very smart. They can capture things like moisture and current draw and locationing and even breadcrumb trails. And one of our beacons alone can track up to 60,000 measurements per second. So lots of data, but then we combine that with the power of your feedback from your employees on things around process optimization and workflows, and even other areas like StageGate, which we're going to get into in just a minute here. And so we wrap that all around with high-powered consultative services in the areas of change management and business process redesign. And so you might be wondering who is taking advantage of such services. There's actually a growing list of Fortune 100 and 500 firms, from manufacturing to healthcare and consumer packaged goods, and even to financial services that are harnessing the power of machine data combined with human insight. So how does this work in practice? We're actually going to go over very briefly 2 use cases so that you get a real clear picture of how this works. Let me set the stage for the first one. This first one was for a Fortune 100 manufacturer who originally was interested in doing simple asset tracking. And we've since expanded into lots of other areas for them. But they wanted to start with asset tracking, and they really wanted to digitally transform their assets by reducing their costs, knowing where their inventory was. I think they had around 30% of their employees spending about 20% of their time searching for parts. And so that led to constantly having to reorder parts. This company wanted to shift from being reactive to much more predictive, so that they would not only run their machines to the point of failure, but know in advance to eliminate any downtime. And of course, all this then translates to lots of opportunity to improve on the overhead side, workflow, and also always helps with the balance sheet as well. So how this looks visually, you're seeing here an isometric graph, and this may be similar to your work environment, of how locationing works at this particular manufacturer. So here you see in step 1 in the lower right, this employee is trying to locate supplies located throughout the facility. And so our Bluetooth low energy, or BLE device, detects that materials are actually located on a forklift. Those can be identified quickly, and the BLE device detects that these materials have actually been misplaced. And so all this data is streaming in, and then we aggregate it and contextualize it in real time, and then provide that through a very simple UI interface here, a dashboard that shows in real time the location of these materials to help the employees easily understand where the materials are and to locate them. And this is just for locationing. Like I mentioned before, there are lots of other ways to use this. this particular company, with just location tracking alone for just this one division, was able within the first year to recover $11 million in lost parts and reorder costs. And so you can imagine the opportunity there for companies to be able to track and make their assets smart when they start expanding beyond location tracking and looking at things like environmentals and moisture and current draw and even process optimization as well. So I hope that paints a clear picture of how it works on the IoT side. This next one that we're going to focus on is really going to be heavily steeped on the human insight side, the missing ingredient here. And so for this particular use case, we are going to talk about how we help transform the stage gate process for a multi-billion-dollar consumer packaged goods company. And so this particular company, they have a lot of projects, both core and innovation, that they put through every year to go to market. And they've really had more of an innovation tunnel and not a funnel. And so a lot of the projects were going through, and the inputs that were needed from the cross-functional team to be able to discern whether or not those projects would actually be effective and viable and feasible in the market, a lot of those projects were making their way through as a tunnel. And so we came in and helped them with the power of their employee insight to make it much more of an innovation funnel. And that's what you're seeing there on the bottom right, is being only the best projects should make its way through. Now, after working with this firm, they're really projected to reap 5 times ROI. And you can see in the top right there, this is with some pilot data, how they actually moved from having that tunnel and then on the bottom right to an innovation funnel. That saves a lot of money and helps with projections, overhead, workflow optimization. And so this is all by tapping into the power of real-time human insight. And before we get in and show what this actually looks like, you engage in interactions every day, right? In your company, and you provide feedback through chats, and you have surveys and of course emails that you do. The challenge with those is that it's really hard to capture those interactions in a systematic and organized way. In fact, sometimes it's hard to get that feedback even at all. And so when you are launching your own digital transformation initiatives, much like this consumer packaged goods company, you want to be able to tap into the voices of your cross-functional teams in a really dynamic, fast, and incentivized way, so that they would want to give feedback and give that insight to you real time, because they know it's going to help them in their roles, they know it's going to help their teams, and they know ultimately it will help the business to perform better. So this is where our real-time feedback platform comes in. You can see a few images of that here below, but we can collect feedback very easily between machines and humans, categorize it, contextualize it, and then produce some really, really cutting-edge analytics that help drive action as a result of it, which we'll get into here in just a second. This is to give you a sense of what the actual screens look like. Don't want to go into this. This isn't a product demo, but I think it'll help ground the conversation with the screens on the left. There are different modules, and so the ones on the left, you can give feedback to your associates on specific competencies. What we're going to be focusing on really here are the screens on the right, which are when I'm giving feedback as an employee, I can give it on a process or an initiative or a workflow. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on here. And so with real-time feedback, these associates at this consumer packaged goods company have a ton of transparency now through data. Let's take a look at how this actually works through this isometric graph. So here you have a cross-functional team, and they engage in a new product and ideation session, and they write up the components of that ideation. They can then share that write-up, and they request feedback from their other teammates on the desirability, viability, and feasibility of that new innovation. The cross-functional teams then can do more research and then provide inputs on the feasibility of that specific product idea. All of that then, that insight gets aggregated, and the project team owner dynamically receives alerts when there's more feedback, and then can make much more informed decisions about whether or not to move a product through to the next stage. And that's where they can view voting results and decide on whether or not to advance it or to collect more information. So over time, for this consumer packaged goods company, we collected that real-time feedback from cross-functional teams. You could see how they were giving it on all different parts of the stage gate process. Those gray dots represent dots of feedback that were coming in over a long period of time, and iteratively able to use that information and then make much more data-driven change management decisions around their stage gate process. And we found that when we analyzed all that feedback and the comments that come in, really, really rich information, we can thematize that. And then we found that 4 key themes emerged from the associates about what needed to be improved in this process. And that was collaboration, integration, visibility, and standardization. And so those themes we were able to detect because we use natural language processing, right? NLP, it's a form of artificial intelligence. And so you're seeing here a sample comment on the right that an employee puts in the platform to say, hey, look, we lack sufficient information to make an informed assessment. And so imagine all your employees are giving feedback on where your machines are located or what's working well with your stage gate or what isn't working well. We're able to grab all those comments and then thematize them, and then using natural language processing, come back and take data-driven action around it. One of the ways that we do that is through producing strategic communications back out to the associate base. And so once we know what those themes are, we can then craft strategic comms, websites, videos, and let the associates know that their voice has been heard. And so this is a really great way to use the power and close the loop with your associates by collecting their feedback, analyzing it, and then producing back out for them strategic comms that let them know that their voice has been heard and in areas that matter most to them when they need to know it. So I hope those 2 examples really help anchor the conversation here on the power of human connectivity. We have created a free resource for you to use. We use this in our engagements, and we hope that you find value in it. It's our own digital transformation solution. Like I said, it's a free asset for you to use, and you can locate it by going to that URL there at thinair.io/digital-transformation-tool. And when you think about digital transformation, it's really a foundational change in how your organization delivers value. The challenge with most digital transformation efforts and why they fail is that we tend to view technology as a silver bullet, and it has to extend well beyond that to capture the mindsets and behaviors of the people that are doing the work. And so to do that, you could think of your own digital transformation solution as having 3 core building blocks. The first is around people competencies. Are your associates trained with the information that they need to engage in this new way of working or have this new model? The second is process innovation and looking end to end at how work streams and dependencies impact one another. And then of course, last but not least, is everything around the systems capabilities and the technology, right? Connecting your systems so they do speak to one another, making your assets smart, and then combining that with the power of human insight as well. And then you can layer those 3 organizational building blocks with 2 dynamics. One is continuous feedback, and that's through collecting the feedback of your employees in a really dynamic, quick way, kind of like what we just walked through here. And the other is around data-driven change, using sensors to capture information on your most high-value assets, and using that intelligence and combining it with human feedback in a really, really powerful way. So again, here's the URL. You get a number of benefits by filling this out. You get your own worksheet that you'll get sent to you. You'll get even your own white paper that we'll send to you. And of course, we'd be happy to whiteboard and brainstorm some ideas on where you fall on your digital transformation continuum, whether you're in the very, very early stages, middle, or latter stages, this, I think, should be a resource for you, and we would be happy to help you out and give you some insight into things to think about and the next steps of your journey. These are just a few screenshots of what the actual digital transformation tool looks like. Hopefully you clicked on it and you're already progressing through, but it's a very clean, easy way to fill out information on your people competencies, systems, processes, so on and so forth. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Feel free to shoot me a note, give me a buzz, and I would love to hear about how you're doing on your own digital transformation solution. Thank you very much.